Hi, welcome back to ODE YouTube channel. My name is Paul and I'm here again for another versus video. And today's video will put side by side the Jinhao 85 Black with the Parker 51 Deluxe Black Gold Trim. These two pens are obviously inspired by the vintage Parker 51, but they are modern releases. This, let's call it the official release by Parker, called Parker 51, and this inspired pen, which is called Jinhao 85. And so, let's take a look of some of the features of these pens. When you hold both pens, they are really similar in looks, in sizes and everything. But let's take a look at each part. First, they have the black color, both, but the Jinhao is available in some other colors and even in some wood versions, and even in a steel version. And the Parker 51 is available in other colors also that are inspired by the vintage Parker 51. And the Parker even has a steel cap instead of this gold-plated one. When you look at both pens beside the color option, the gold and the black, you will see that they have some common characteristics. They both have these kind of little steps until a central, let's call it a jewel made of metal, which is really similar. When you look at them from the top, on the Parker 51 there is this little gap around the jewel that allows for breathing if you swallow the cap, and on the Jinhao that is not there. When you look at the clip, you can see there are slight differences, with the clip from Jinhao being just slightly longer, and also it is placed a little lower on the pen, and the Parker one is put higher. Both have the arrow-shaped look, but with slightly different design. Both have lines that are engraved along the cap. The lines from the Parker 51 are much finer than those, and the Parker 51 has a shiny cap, and the Jinhao 85 has a matte golden cap. When we go to the gold band, one says Parker, the other one says Jinhao in a band that is almost similar, except the Jinhao has three areas, two thinner ones and a wider one on the middle where it is Jinhao. On the other side of the ring of this cap lip, there is nothing on the Jinhao, and on the Parker 51 it is France and then the date code. The barrel has this cigar shape. They are very similar in sizes and look, and this is what we can check on the outside. And talking about the outside, we should go to the materials of the pen. As far as you can see with the pens capped, we have the Parker 51 with a metal cap and a resin barrel, the Jinhao 85 with a metal cap and a metal barrel. So both parts are metal. When you uncap the pens, you see that the Parker takes a little more than one turn to uncap, and the Jinhao will take two more than around, let me show you again, around 2.5 turns, 1, 2, half, 2 and cap. Both threads are quite good and smooth on the pen. Talking again about materials, we have the plastic section on the Parker and also a plastic section on the Jinhao. Both have hooded nibs and have very similar styles. However, there is a big difference here because the Parker has a wide plain band on the section, and on the Jinhao it is thinner, that metal band. There is metal threads on the Jinhao, there are plastic threads on the Parker 51. Both threads are on the barrel. When we look at the cap, we think that metal caps are going to screw into this one, is going to screw into plastic threads and may cause some wear, but I think they are so well machined that I don't see that happen. And there are some other places where pens usually have parts, some threads made of a material and the other threads, the other matching threads of another material. The threads here are plastic, and you can see the threads inside the cap are metal. On the Jinhao you have metal threads, and you would say, okay, metal threads are better to go with the metal cap, but inside the metal cap there is a black plastic lining, so you have plastic threads into metal threads. When you unscrew the barrel, you see that the new Parker 51 has the end of the section is made of metal, and then it has a converter, and it comes with a converter, at least the deluxe model with which has the gold nib, this one that I have, which is on loan. You can screw this, and I would say that this ring is also here to stop the barrel to overthread over the section. When you look at the Jinhao and you unscrew it, you also have metal threads there and metal threads on the barrel, and you'll also have a Jinhao converter. About the nibs, we both have hooded nibs, which means they are hidden beneath the hood or the section of the pen. The nib on the Parker 51 is kind of a regular nib, a small nib like the nib on the Jotter with a normal feed that is covered. The nib on the Jinhao 85 is a tubular nib, more similar with the nib of an older Parker 51 that goes in. There is some discussion about that, if the Parker 51 should have a hooded nib or not. In my opinion, I don't think today it makes that much sense, that kind of discussion. It made when the pens were made, because they could have different performances. Today, I'm not sure if that is applicable, if the pens write well. I don't know if it matters that much what is inside. By the way, the hooded nib on the Jinhao is a steel nib. The hooded nib on the Parker 51 is an 18 karat gold nib, at least in this deluxe version. There is also the option for a steel nib. Let's go for some other features. Talking about the external size. The Parker 51 has 139 millimeters, like this, capped, and the Jinhao has 143 millimeters. So it is 4 millimeters longer than the Parker 51. When they are uncapped, we have the Parker 51 having 118 millimeters and the Jinhao has 126. So it's much bigger when uncapped than when capped. The diameter around here on the Parker 51 is 11 millimeters. On the Jinhao, the same. When you go to the section, there is 10 millimeters and 10 millimeters on the Jinhao. Although because of the proportions that are different, because the section is a little shorter on the Parker, you will find it's a little shorter, but not that much, because you have to compare the threads with the threads. So it's like this. The kind of proportions make the Parker seem to be more, seem wider. Both have cartridge converter systems, and the Parker has proprietary Parker converter. The Jinhao can take the Jinhao converters, or it can take the international sized cartridges. You will find that the Parker converter has about 0.7 milliliters of ink, and the Jinhao converter about 0.5 milliliters. You can go to 1.5 if you put a long international converter, and here you can go to 1.4 milliliters if you go for a long Parker cartridge. And that is one of the reasons why I usually like cartridges more than converters, because they will take more ink. About the size of the nib, this one should be an extra fine, and I will show you the writing sample in a moment. But it is a little broader than that, and this is a fine nib. About the price, there is a huge price difference. This one costs 8 euros, this one costs 260 euros. You have the steel nibbed version, but I would say these are more comparable, and the steel nib version will go for around 90 euros, so this one is always much cheaper. About posting. Can you use the Parker 51 and post it? Yes, for sure. Can you use it, post it? Yes, you can. And it posts securely and still is very well balanced. The same questions about the Jinhao. You can use them and post it? Yes, you can. It is a little heavier because it is metal on the back, but it is quite comfortable. Can it be used to post it? Yes, it can. But I think it takes a little bit of the balance of the pen, and it posts higher, and it does something that I don't like, is like this. It is secure, but it wobbles a little bit from side to side. Another thing, that because this one has a metal and this one is resin or plastic, this one has a weight of 23 grams and this one 26 grams. Now, these are very similar between each other. There are some differences. Some people say they were made both in China by the same manufacturer. I don't think so. I think they just followed the same exact concept. They have many common features, but they don't have the common features that would make it more advantageous to work, such as the same filling system, same proprietary cartridges, interchangeable parts, nothing that. So I don't really think they were made by the same brand. I think if they were, some parts would be interchangeable. And now let's see how they perform on paper, just for a short comparison. Of course, you'll have the real long sized reviews of each pens on the channel, and I will leave the links below for them. So, and even for the stores where I got them. This one came from eBay, this one came on loan from Appleboom. So this is it was uncapped for a little bit, so I had to pause the video for a little bit because this pen was out of ink. It was not because it was uncapped, it was out of ink because I've been using it a lot, so I refilled it and it's ready to go. So this is the Parker 51. This is the Deluxe Black GT, which means it has gold trim, which means it has a gold colored cap with a fine gold nib. The ink inside is the vintage Parker Quink Black that I like to use a lot. This is a pen that will not allow a lot of line variation. It writes quite well. It is wet enough in my opinion, and it's really a very good pen. And you can even write in reverse if you like that. So this is really a good writer, although a little expensive. When you go to the Jinhao 85, you have Jinhao 85 Black. It has also some gold trim, let's call it that way, and it has an extra fine nib that you can see. It is as broad as the fine on the Parker, so I think this is mislabeled. Quite wet also, although a little bit less wet than the Parker 51, and this is not because I inked the pen recently, it's just because I cleaned it and absorbed a lot of ink with paper tissue. It's just a wetter pen, and you can also write very well in reverse. Both pens are really smooth and provide you a very nice writing experience. But I have to say that the Parker 51 has a more pleasant nib than the Jinhao 85. However, they have very different price points, so I think it is supposed that the Parker will write better, but you will not have a bad pen at all with the Jinhao 85. So this video was not to compare these pens with the original Parker 51. You can check my thoughts on that on my previous videos, but just for you to think about the comparison between these two very similar pens in terms of design. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will be back for more videos very soon. Bye!